Hello! In today's video I'm going to be reflecting on the first musical that I have performed in as a graduate, and I'm going to be talking about the audition process, so how I got to perform in the musical, the rehearsal and show process, and also a little bit about some of the things I learned and got out of doing the show. Hello! If you're new to my channel, then welcome to the Performing Arts and Me. My name is Millie and I am a musical theatre graduate from London Studio Centre, and I recently performed in Vision the Musical. On this show I was a dance captain and I also played the role of Quasine, and I was in the ensemble. And we performed this show in both London and in France, in Lourdes, which is in the south of France, and I'm going to be talking a bit about all of that experience today. Okay, so starting off with the audition process, I have notes here, so if I'm looking down, that's why. I think I actually vlogged the prep for the first audition for this show. I think it was on my Vlogmas videos. If it was, I'll link it up in the cards, which I think they're on this side. This is my right side, although as I say that, I bet it's on the left. And the way I got that audition was through Backstage. So Backstage is an online platform where you can create a profile and apply for castings. Unlike Spotlight, there are no criteria that you have to meet to be on Backstage, but you do have to pay a subscription fee. So I was on Backstage and I'd applied for the casting, and I actually made a mistake when I was applying for the casting. I think it said somewhere in the description that it was like a rock inspired score. So I meant to attach to my application my singing reel that had a rock style song on it, but I attached the wrong one, and I'm pretty sure I attached the classical style singing reel that I did not mean to attach, which was the old one that was on there, but they still called me in for an audition. So I first applied for the show, I think it was sometime last year, and I had my audition I think before Christmas. And for the audition they asked us to bring one song of our own, and they sent us 3 songs from the show and asked us to prepare one of those to sing as well. I think I was actually maybe a little bit under the weather when I was auditioning, or maybe I was just coming out of being under the weather, or my throat was a bit sore, something was going on, because I'm pretty sure I picked the easier of my 2 options of songs to sing. So I think I sung All Grown Up from Bear, and then the song that I sung from the show was Blue, which is a really beautiful song. Can't remember which order I sung them in. And I think after everyone had sung their songs, they also got us all back in to do a bit of script work. I think in the first audition as well, they also taught us some other songs from the show, like just whilst we were there, because we had a go at singing some of the other songs from the show, like as a group, or like they got us to do like one line at a time. So after I did my audition in December, I think I had a message saying that they'd like to invite me back for a recall audition / first rehearsal. So I wasn't sure if I had the part at that point. So I was like, yeah, I can go for that. So I went to the recall audition. There were some people at that recall audition who hadn't been to any auditions, and then there were some of us that had. The director was at this audition. In the first audition, the director wasn't there. It was the 2 writers, and one of the writers was the musical director for the show as well. So they did the first audition, and then the second one, there were the writers and the director. So they spoke a little bit about the show. I think we did a bit of scene work again, and I think we maybe did some kind of group singing, or like you sing this line, you sing this line, you sing this line, like with the songs being taught to us kind of in the room, rather than like get up and sing it solo. Although I think the people that hadn't done the first audition did sing solo. I think they had asked us who was good at harmonies, and I was like, yeah, I'm pretty good at harmonies. And then they asked us to like come up with harmonies on the spot. I can learn harmonies, but coming up with harmonies, a little bit iffy. So we sung some of this ensemble stuff with harmonies. We also had a little chat with the director, and she jotted down like any special skills and whether we played instruments and stuff like that. I also took my CV to one of the auditions. I think it was the first one. I don't think they asked for it while I was there, but I noticed someone else had given them theirs, so I gave them mine on the way out so that they had it. After that I got a message through on Backstage saying unfortunately I didn't get the part, but they would love to have me as like a first point of contact in case someone dropped out. So I replied and I was like, thank you for letting me know. I would love to be considered if someone drops out, or if not, like I'd love to work with you in the future. But I didn't really think much of it. I kind of thought, oh, like it's a positive sign that they liked me. But I didn't really think it was likely that I would hear from them for this project. So then fast forward to May, end of May, I get a message through on Backstage saying, hi Millie, someone's dropped out, would you like to take their part? I was on my way back from a dance class when I saw this message, and I was like, whoa, what? Like, mind boggled, like. So I'd actually, previously when we'd gone to the recall rehearsal, I think I'd put in my calendar when the show dates were, and I'd since deleted them because I was like, well, I'm not in it anymore, so I can delete those. So I got this message and I was like, wow. Like, because obviously I haven't been in touch with them since maybe like February time. So I'd kind of put it to bed, and then I got this message and I was like, wow. Like, that's crazy. So I replied back and I was like, please can you send me the dates so I can check that I'm still free? So they sent me the dates and I was able to do it. So I had a chat with my parents, and then I said, yes please, I'd love to take part. So moving on to the rehearsal process, I'd missed several rehearsals because they'd been rehearsing since like February time, and it was now May. The show was in July kind of time. So I'd missed quite a lot of rehearsals. They hadn't been in like back-to-back rehearsals since February because the creative team are based up north, so they would come down and do like a block of rehearsals on a weekend and then go back up north because most of the actors were based in London. So I had quite a bit to catch up on, particularly choreography wise, but it was also okay because it wasn't like I'd missed, you know, like 4 months of solid rehearsal. I'd missed several blocks of rehearsal, which was still a lot to have missed. I think I missed about a third of the scheduled rehearsals. So the person I was replacing in the show was also the dance captain, which meant that there was no dance captain to teach me the choreography because that would probably be the role of the dance captain. They knew I had dance experience and I was replacing the dance captain, but obviously I didn't know the choreography itself because I hadn't been there when they taught it. So me and one of the other girls shared the role of dance captain. I never thought I'd get the chance to be a dance captain because I'm not great at picking up choreography, but the reason I could was because the choreography was on videos on a Dropbox folder. I could learn it from the videos and then help the other members of the cast with it because I'm quite good at explaining things and giving notes. I'm just not good at picking up choreo quickly, so I didn't think that was going to be something I would be able to do, but I did. And we did end up adapting bits of the choreography that were on the videos as we went through the rehearsal process. But yeah, so getting to be a dance captain was really cool and not something that I had thought that I would be doing in this industry. So we did a few weekend rehearsals and I did have to ask my head of third year MT at college if I could leave one of the rehearsals early for our show that we were doing at college because we were doing Witches of Eastwick at the same time, so I had kind of 2 shows going on. Like it was the end of Witches of Eastwick as I was beginning vision rehearsals. So I had to ask if I could leave one of the Witches of Eastwick rehearsals early to go to one of the vision rehearsals, which she said was fine. And I obviously cleared that with the director and stage manager as well. So yeah, we had a few weekend rehearsals and a couple of one-off rehearsals. And then we had a tech and dress and evening show on a Friday. And then on the Saturday we did 2 shows and on the Sunday we did 2 shows. And that was all in London. So I vlogged that Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and I'll leave that vlog up in the cards. And then we had a week and a bit off and then we flew to France and we did the show in France, which I also vlogged, and I will leave that up in the cards as well so you can go and watch that. Okay, I'm going to quickly talk about what I learned from doing this show. So the first thing I learned is that I can be a dance captain. Something else I got out of it was getting to meet other people and kind of learn from their experiences and people from a different background as well, because when you're at college you're with a lot of people obviously, but they're all at your college, and although they might have had different backgrounds prior to being there, a lot of your training has been the same because you've been at the same college. So it's nice to meet other people who have come from different colleges to different routes into the industry and get to learn a bit from them too. Something else I got out of this show was I was very inspired by the musicians because they were not so tied to their sheet music as I would have been needed to be if I was playing this show. They were working mainly from like lead sheets. A lot of them were really good at playing by ear and improvising, and the performers as well, like people were coming up with harmonies and stuff. And I'm quite a sheet music based person. I think doing classical piano training kind of brought me that way, but getting to see these musicians like playing by ear and stuff was so cool and is something that I definitely want to work on. Like playing by ear and improvisation. Like when we were in France, they would just start like jamming or like taking song requests from people, and they'd just like look up some chords and play it, or like someone would start and then the rest would join in, or they'd be like, oh, what key is this in, and then improvise around it. And yeah, really cool and something I definitely want to develop, and it was really inspiring to see that. Kind of related but also kind of not. So there was sheet music, but it was mainly like a lead sheet, which is where you just have like the vocal line and then chords written above it. So the harmonies weren't really notated, which I kind of struggled with because I, as I said, really tied to sheet music over here. So I voice noted the harmonies and then I notated it myself. So I learned to use flat.io, which is like a really basic music notation software online. It's not like a Dorico or a Sibelius or anything like that, but it was enough that I could notate my harmonies quickly and easily for this show. I am intending to learn to use either Dorico or Sibelius at some point in the future, but for this I just needed something quick and simple, and flat.io worked for that. Something else I learned was I got a little bit of an insight into some of the things that come up when you're producing a show, because the writers were producing the show themselves, and although I'm sure there was loads of stuff going on behind the scenes that we didn't see, I found it really interesting to kind of get a flavour of some of the things that they had to think about when producing a show, because I don't really know much about producing shows, so it was nice to get a little bit of an insight into that. Kind of similar, I got to do some flyering and experience that. So when we were in France, we would go out in the streets and give out flyers to people and try and get people to come and see the show. The producers described it as a kind of like an Edinburgh Fringe style show. That's kind of what you do in Edinburgh Fringe apparently. I've never been, but people go out and flyer on the street to get people to come to their show in the evening, and that's kind of what we were doing. So I got to experience that, which I actually really enjoyed. I enjoyed doing the flyering. The last theatre-y thing that I learned or kind of realised is that I actually can sustain myself for like a longer run of the show, because this was the longest I've performed the same show for. I kind of don't really know how many shows we did, but we were there for 13 days. We were performing for 10 of those days. So I reckon we did kind of like 15 to 18 shows, and then we did 5 when we were in London. So I did around 20 performances of this show, and the fact that I was able to sustain doing the show for that length of time wasn't something I'd done before, so it was cool to see that I can manage doing a show for longer than like a week at a time, which is probably the longest I've done a show for prior to doing this. Okay, and then the last 2 aren't really musical theatre related. So one of them was getting to learn a little bit more about Catholicism. So I'm a Christian. I'm literally fiddling with my cross necklace. I'm a Christian, but I'm from the Protestant branch of Christianity, not from the Catholic branch. And Lourdes is a very Catholic place. It's a site of pilgrimage for Catholics, and it was interesting to learn a bit about the differences between what I believe and what the Catholic strand of the Christian faith believes. And probably the best bit of doing this show was that I got to meet some lovely people and make friends, and also experience such hospitality in France, like some really generous, kind, welcoming people. I had some great conversations, and also the cast welcomed me in like so generously as well, because I came on to the project late, and again, like our hosts in France were so hospitable, and I just got to meet some lovely people. I have some great memories from the trip, so that was probably my highlight. Okay, and that is everything for this video. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed, and if you have, please do subscribe to see the next part of my journey as a musical theatre performer, and thank you very much for watching. Bye!